Listen, I don't know about you, but I started a business so I could do this. Travel, be with friends, be with family, create memories. I didn't do it to sit at the computer all day. I didn't do it so that I could just be in countless emails and Zoom meetings. I did it to create opportunities for myself and opportunities for others. So listen, if that's something that interests you, enjoying time with your friends, being out and about, definitely drop by Erica Williams' Classy Climb vlog. Check out the YouTube channel. We've got over 2,000 videos of free information that's actually changed people's lives. People actually post their new jobs, their new careers, their new businesses all the time over at the channel. What's up, everybody? This is your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. Hello. Drop your city and state in the chat. Put a 1 if you're already excited. We're going to do a little woo-woo, but I'm going to wrap it into business as much as possible. It's a woo-woo kind of day. The title of this show is People Are Worshiping Poverty. Folks mad at buying back the block and Facebook stalking. But I'm going to start this one off with the Facebook stalking first. I end up having a call, and it's not my first call. It's not my last call. And the person essentially went on a kind of a tangent of them Facebook stalking. Now, I'm going to be careful because we have been trained to keep up with family and friends on Facebook, keep up with our other people we know on Instagram and all this other stuff. And then ultimately what this person told me is they were watching their ex. It's a man talking about a woman. And she has already moved on. She is married. She has kids. She can have another kid. And he was sick to his stomach on what could have been. And I was like, what? Now, my calls sometimes go off the rails, but I allowed this person to finish this conversation because what he was trying to saying is he wanted to start afresh, start anew, not concern himself, but he wanted her to see he was doing well. And I said, that's the first part. You got to let go of that. Why does she need to see you doing well? Because she's now married with kids and having a new baby. This is not the first person to say this on the phone with me. This is not the last. It's not the third. It's probably about the 15th or 20th at this point. But what I want you to understand is what I told him is like I tell everybody else. You have to curate your social media to what you want to see. And I don't care if the society has told you it is okay to look, review. Oh, I'm just telling my old friends from high school happy birthday. Let me tell you something. When I left high school, I was done. I mean, I was treated terribly in middle school and high school. And I, as a military kid, you hop around to so many places. So I was done. Even after college, half of them folk, I was done. Like once I left there, I was done. Like people like, hey, come tailgate. I think I tailgated for 1 year. And after that, I was like, why are we going back here? We done graduated. We have gone on with our lives. You know, I may not be no fun for people, but like even the game that I have coming up that I want to go to. Excuse me. Good gracious. Okay. Them beans for dinner was a little salty. I had to let them know, like, I'm only going to this game because we're going in a big group. I don't care that deeply. Like I shared on my Facebook wall, like, yay, great. You see you still doing good. But I'm not like concerned. Unless the game is like in San Antonio and they play a team there, or it's down the street, New Orleans, Tulane or something. I'd be like, okay, that doesn't affect my life. And what's going to happen? We're right at the cusp. I know many of y'all are watching this and you're like, Erica, don't say this before football season. You just went to a football game. That is correct. I just went to the Carolina Panthers versus Shador because I didn't care about the Browns. I don't care nothing about the Browns. Nobody does. The stadium was 60-40, full of Browns jerseys and orange shirts and Colorado jerseys. Deion Sanders was there, but he was in the back. That boy mama was in the front. Now, I'm a root for him for sure because it's very much... it's funny how we're going anti-establishment against the establishment, which is silly if you really stand back from it. You know, we were mad with the NFL. Now they, you know, we're going to support it by buying this boy $40 million in jerseys. I'm gonna get out of there. But I want you to understand that is not your whole end all be all. And this is why I brought up last video or maybe a couple videos ago that lower income folks that have no money are going to be like, playing video games for 4 to 5 hours, watching Netflix for 5, 6, 7 hours, binging on shows. That's why when y'all ask me, what do you watch on TV? You're gonna be like, nothing. Like y'all have to really send me a suggestion, or it has to be like so pressing that I'm like, I have to catch that show. It's usually sci-fi or anything, Harry Potter world, right? But recently I called the Gilded Age, and it inspired me so to have a series on the Gilded Age, which I have. The executive producer is a black woman that has done hundreds of movies, but she wouldn't be like, you wouldn't consider her Viola Davis or nothing like that, right? And that's why I wanted to talk to you about quiet wealth, real stealth wealth, like real black people who are doing it, black Hollywood that's been doing it. You don't know because you're not particularly, focused on that. So that's part of that series. But then when I talk about middle class activities we do to waste time, I'm gonna just go there. Middle class activities to waste time is sports events. I know. And mini vacations. Girl, I'm going to Miami. I'm going to Atlanta. I'm going down the street. Like short term, quick weekend vacations. You know what I'm saying? That's our thing. That's where we love talking about, right? And I'm gonna say Facebook stalking. Because we've encouraged people to keep up with the Joneses via the internet. I'm stunting for the gram. If I take a picture of food, you're doing it for the gram. I'm doing it for the gram, right? Upper middle class or wealthier people have an obsession about control, business ownership, and like actively living in more than one city at a time, right? If you see some of the actors on this one show I watch, they literally, half the actors were in London, the other half were in New York. Like they split their time between the two cities, doing Broadway across continents, all this other stuff, which is great. And that's when you get to a certain amount of money. But when we talk about doom scrolling, we talk about please stop doom scrolling, people. That's part of it. You should never be scrolling your exes. It's not healthy. You shouldn't be scrolling people that you do not like. Let me say that again. Y'all are watching YouTube channels and watching people you do not like. We have trained people to watch things they do not like, right? We've trained them. It's very weird in this era we're in that we've trained people to. It's okay. Hold on a second, you guys. We got a lot to talk. Hey, here. I'm doing a video. Here you go. And so we've trained people to do that, and it's very dangerous, right? Because if I respond back to some people like, and what I told him and other people is, hey, hey, I don't have a lot of money, can't do this and that. Why don't you go volunteer? Why don't you do charity work? When I moved to Austin, I wanted to go South by Southwest. I didn't have thousands of dollars. Guess what? I volunteered. You volunteer for a 72-hour period, you get a free VIP ticket. And that still holds, right? Music events, concerts. When I remember I went to the Grant Cardone conference in Miami. Was this 2019 or 2018? And he parachuted into the 10X. And I went up to get like a drink or something from the people that was all in the back part, the concession stands. And I remember those ladies looking at me like, oh, what they talking about? Oh, that's interesting. And they have the speakers right there. They can hear all of this stuff. Right? They're standing around the stands with the security shirts on. Y'all can hear all of this. And I remember the way I was dressed, I had to run and go change my clothes. But this guy was like, oh, I know you got money because you're not over here dressed to impress. And I kind of laughed about it. But what happens is most people are on a low information diet, low income diet, right? And they're almost loyal to a degree about poverty. And how you don't understand, Erica, and you can't break out of it. And this is what happens. Like they have these things rehearsed to a T, right? When you start talking about don't wear bonnets outside, stop policing people's clothes. Like asking people to put on pants and take a bonnet off is extreme. Asking people to comb their hair is extreme. Asking people to dress appropriately is extreme. Asking parents not to bring their child in their pajamas to school on the first week of school is extreme. This is a mentality issue. People know better. They're refusing to do better. So let me show you some of the first videos because some of y'all won't get it till I show it to you. But there are people, some of y'all right now following channels. Y'all don't like them. Some of y'all, every time I show something with Antoine Daniels, but y'all know everything he's posting as of late. It's weird. You know what I mean? Like y'all, again, I have two examples, but let me start with this one. There's a guy called Hubs or something to that effect. And he was kind of had an anti-channel. Right? Now, what do I mean? Anti-channel. He was recording, there's nothing wrong with being a normal person, working a normal 9 to 5. And if you know me, I've always said, let's use these 9 to 5s to our best of ability. I have no problem with you doing that. There were times where I worked 2, 3 jobs. There are times when I struggled, but I always knew mentally, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of here. This is temporary. I'm getting out of here. So there's a guy called Hubs, and he was basically like, make the 9 to 5 normal. Some of us are just working the 9 to 5. We're not an influencer traveling all over the world. And I already said, if your whole mission of your page and your identity is we don't have to be like influencers, we can just go to work 9 to 5 and have a normal life, bro. No, nobody's. That's not. What are you talking about? Like, no one's stopping you from having a regular life. You're coming on social media, and again, you're Facebook stalking and Instagram stalking to a point that you've convinced yourself that you have to do that. Why are most of these young people going to jail for these scamming and fraud and stupid stuff? Because they can't wait the normal time period, 2 to 5 years, for something to grow. There are several of you, and I thank you this week, that sent me a video of a couple young ladies. They're literally starting construction companies and they're making a ton of money. Why? Because they return phone calls. They have backup subs that come to do the job. They pay the guys. Everything I've been telling you, middleman to millions, and describing it. And many of you sent it to me, and I thank you for it on Instagram. And I laughed because I'm like, exactly. I've been telling it to you, but now maybe the white girl tells you, the white boy that's 20 something tells you, the Asian guy tells you, who doesn't never lift a hammer tells you. Now it's real. Do you see what I'm saying? And so you have to, you have to be careful sometimes. People can't hear it from you, and that is what it is. Right. But what you have to understand is you have little internet villages. And in your internet village, it is comprised of something that is reinforcing to you that this is true. This is true, or that is true. Why are you following this person? How does it make you happy? How is it fixing it? How is it solving a problem? So let me play a little bit of this part of this clip. And why are these people mad at this influencer? Because he got so much money that he was able to leave his 9 to 5. And then now he does a bunch of sponsored content, which makes them angry, makes them mad. Because they're like, we're in this together. We're all working these jobs we don't like together. It's a worshiping of not getting what you want. And let me be very clear. You are not obligated to be who you were 5 minutes ago. Man, you could sit down in church and somebody, the pastor, say something, you're like, you know what? I'm different. I'm changed. And people be like, well, you just was at church 20 minutes ago. Yeah, but it hit me. And I'm not obligated to be the same 5 minutes later. Right? That's why when I see some of these people who, maybe they were bad dad when they were younger, but they go off and marry again, have more kids, I'm not even mad at them, because they may actually be a better dad at this point in life because they had that moment. Not always, but because they had this moment. Okay. Let me play this clip.
Whatever threatens that shared value, that's your
and hope it sticks. And it's like he tries to just reel people in any way that he can. He doesn't care how he does it and how deceptive it is as he's doing that. Ew. Meanwhile, the whole time he was talking about, this is how I make my living. Send me this. I'm only going to answer questions if you send me these things. Like, because this is how I make my living. Any little bit helps. And at no part did you say this until the very end. This situation disturbs me. There is absolutely no coming back from this at whatsoever on a human level, right? Like his career or whatever, there was no coming back from that anyway. His career, personally, in my opinion. And right now he's only getting views because people are like disgusted. But on a human level, there is no coming back from that if you're lying about that.
If you happen to see this Hub's life, please know I don't think you're a bad person. I just think you need a serious reality check.
I think you're a bad person if you do that. I do.
All right, marketing guys' take on this whole Hub's life thing. In marketing, there's a concept called the enemy framework. And it's this idea where between you and your audience, you have a shared value, and then whatever threatens that shared value, that's your enemy.
This is a very interesting video, by the way.
And in the case of Hub's life, the shared value was really, you can be happy and successful and fulfilled working a 9-to-5 job. And the enemy was really this like culture of everybody needs to be an entrepreneur on TikTok and Instagram. You're a loser if you work a 9-to-5.
100%. It's like so crazy that he's trying to do like content creator stuff right now. It's insane.
And it's not ever good enough, right? So he built his entire audience really using this enemy framework, probably not intentionally, but that's what it was. People were following him because it was this like backlash against the enemy of hustle culture. 95 isn't good enough. Again, everything that I just said.
And again, the irony is he's now doing hustle culture videos where he's like waking up at 5 a.m, allegedly.
Okay, so this is my problem with this whole thing. I'm going to show you his page, because that's not fair for me not to show y'all his page. This is Hub's Life. I've never heard of this guy, but I have started seeing the trend of guys being like, here I am getting up at 6 a.m. driving into Atlanta. Now I'm at work till 6:30 afternoon, driving home from Atlanta, like 30 minutes outside of town. And so I get what they're doing, because it's like a lot of us are just working. We're trying our best. You know what I mean? And I don't have a problem with that. I think the problem lies when you don't know what you want. It's not the influencer's fault. Like you can't entice me with something I don't want. Let's just say somebody comes by. I say it all the time. Somebody come by with crack. I'm gonna be like, man, get your ass out of here. Somebody come by with drugs, hard drugs, heroin. You're gonna be like, get out of here. Somebody enticing you with going to Ibiza to be drunk on somewhere in the middle of the day shouldn't entice you as an adult. So what your people are wanting is the fruit of the tree, which is time freedom. But I've told y'all this, once you start an alternative road, like all of your life goes alternative, right? I've talked about the black couple, and I brought them on the channel who were realtors, and they just went on a Dave Ramsey journey, and they paid their house off like 9 years early. They paid it off in 9 years. And they used to have neighbors that they were best friends with. They would cookouts all the time. They did all this stuff. And they just kind of mentioned Dave Ramsey here and there. But when they finally told their friends that's been their bestest friend that lived beside them that they paid off their house, the neighbors no longer talk to them, no longer hang out with them, no longer do cookouts with them, because you just made it real. And so when you see social media and it's a 20-year-old guy doing something and you're 35, like, man, I wish I was him. You shouldn't, because that doesn't apply to you. You aren't 20 anymore. If you're 62 years old and you see some girl having babies, you shouldn't be like, oh man, that should be me. No, you're 62. Right? So people can't entice you with something you don't want. And most people don't know what they want, so they want what other people want. Yeah, I'm gonna get a G-Wagon. For what? They're ugly. They eat up gas. Erica, right? Right? I'm gonna go live over in Europe. Why? Half of the place is poor and dirty. You're not going to get, your hair smells like pee and has bed bugs. Oh my God, Erica, no. Right. And so you're talking to people who want what other people want. And if they actually, there's been several people I've met that are like, oh, I hated that place. I went there and it was terrible. Or I went to Italy and I hated it. Or I went to, like they go to these places because other people told them to go. Right. And this is you can't be mad at a entrepreneurial young person if that's not what you want. You don't want to pay people's payroll. You don't even want to be a manager at your job. How can you be watching something you hate? Do you understand how crazy it is? There's nothing wrong with watching travel channels and Food Network. I'm not even mad about you. Like that's how we go to a lot of restaurants. My boo loves Food Network. He watches these restaurants. He's like, we should go check this restaurant out if it's still open. Great. But you can't entice me with something I don't want. The guy showing me he's got 3 little kids under 5 at home and his wife stays home in the suburbs of Atlanta, and he has to go to Atlanta at 6:30 in the morning and come home about like 6:37 at night, put the kids in the bathtub, put them in bed, and that's it. He really only gets his weekends. No, you can't entice me with that, because I know that world. When you just showed me 300,000 Black women lost their job this year, you can't entice me with corporate, because every day is your first day. They can let you go any day of the week. Government job or not, tenured or not. There's a trucking company that's closing in Florida, letting go 600 employees. They're paying people 60 days worth of wages. And in my head, I'm like, I would immediately go get another job, because you know how this rolls. If you have a skill, you can go get another job. I immediately go get another job. But again, when I tell people, you've signed up for that. You've signed up for that path. There's nothing wrong with that path if you've signed up for it. What happens is a lot of people getting a bunch of a debt as an adult from 18 to 25, and then they're playing the game of paying it all off. Now, when you've got to the close point of paying it off and you got a paid off car And then all of a sudden you're like, well, I wanted a new car. You are signing up for that next level of debt. Okay. There are people I would never trade places with, and they would never trade places with me. And that's absolutely fine. Right. There are people when I went to business conferences who had these amazing, beautiful, aesthetic Instagrams making no money a month, making like $5,000 a month, and I was making 30. So, what my messy process that wasn't aesthetic would not appeal to them, just like you can't appeal to me with something I don't want. Okay. So if you're a person that's going to work a job and you're going to work for the next 10 plus years, 20, 15 years, get paid the highest. That's our whole point of any of these videos, is get paid the most you can be paid. But you can't want yachts. You can't want private jets. You cannot want something that is not in line with your path. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people are wanting things that this path doesn't give that. And that's what a lot of jobs are. Like, hey, this is just a job. It's just for you to come, do a service, be well. But a lot of y'all are angry and upset at your job because you realize you'll never have that other person's life. And that's unfortunate. So again, this is him showing this. This is what he does now. But if you go back in the day, I don't know how far back, but people are basically watching him and hate commenting, which is weird because it doesn't make any sense to me. If he quit doing what you wanted him to do, stop watching. But but now they're like watching even more, leaving even more comments, doing even more stuff. You betrayed us, the sea of 9-to-5ers. It's weird. It's real weird. Okay. So y'all can go check that out if you want on your own time. Let me go show you this. This is another one. This is another prime example in the worshiping of poverty. Show you this tab. All right, get the audio up.
In Atlanta before 2026, the World Cup in 2026. Last time we had some stuff like that with the Super Bowl and the Olympics. You don't want to miss booms like that in this city when you have a business. That is $1 million a week. So no matter what I spend, I'm going to make it back in 1 week. And I also went to the private meetings about real estate in Atlanta. All these hedge funds are buying up everything in Atlanta. $6 billion was spent, and they're going to build like so much stuff. They got a science center coming to Atlanta. They said they want to make Atlanta kind of like Vegas in New York vibe, where you know how you want to have a business in Atlanta before 2026. The World Cup in 2026. Last time we had some stuff like that. They said they want to make Atlanta kind of like Vegas in New York vibe, where you know how you walk down the Vegas Strip and you see all this fun stuff to do. And then they said they want to have billboards like New York and have advertisements, a Times Square / Vegas vibe to make it more touristy attractive. And then Atlanta is in the forest. Have you ever been to a sky in Atlanta and just see nothing but trees? So that means there's more room to build out. If you look at Atlanta, it's just the beginning stages. It's going to turn into New York pretty much. If you buy real estate right now in Atlanta, you will be making a profit in the next 5-10 years.
Okay. So immediately I was like, I know this to be true. We've had these discussions. I've sat and stuff in Austin. Also, if you guys didn't pay attention, that was Atlanta Jewish Times. Let me say it again. That was Atlanta Jewish Times that was promoting what's getting ready to come down the pipeline. I had a text this week from a capital company. Hey, man, we can get you money if you're Jewish. I kid you not. I have it screen saved. I'm going to put it up in Wealth Wednesday school group, and I'll put it up in, I guess, what other group we got that we could put it in. But I'll just show you the text because I wanted you to see when I worked as apartment management, there was a woman who was in her 50s and she had ran out of money, pulling money out of her 401k for the last 10 months. In Austin, Texas. This is before all the boom, right? And I was like, is this crazy or what? And so she reached out to the Jewish synagogue in town, and they were going to pay her rent for 6 months. Not 1 month, not 2 months, not 3 months, 6 months. And so when we called, it was like their requirements was like this person had to be Jewish. They had to show their that they were registered Jewish somewhere, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I want y'all to understand, them people is about that business. They about that life. Okay. And so my first thought is, this is common sense. I live in Austin, and when the world, the not FIFA, because we have FIFA coming to us too, but when the F-150, however you say it, what do you call it? The racetrack thing with I can't even think of the word, but put it in the comments. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. When that comes to town, every Airbnb in the town is booked out. It was so much traffic with Ubers and Lyfts. They were like, look, we're just gonna put this charter bus down here with leather seats like the Vaughn Lane buses. Come get on this bus, be at this location. We will drop you off there. And then these buses will line back up and pick all you up. And so you had Brazilians, Italian, you name it. They were there. Asians, Mexico City, wealthy of the wealthy of the wealthy. Sometimes staying in bad hotels, sometimes staying in bad areas. You're like, God, dog, y'all really here. It's a time for all to make their money. What he's saying is true. But if you go read the comments, this blackmillionaires.com, everything is like, oh, I'm not doing it. You guys make me sick. Get out of Atlanta. Leave the trees alone. I mean, they're just going crazy. There's 10 other cities hosting the World Cup. And again, this is what was going to happen. They're going to complain it's just absolutely to the sky. They're telling you what they're going to do to the city. There's nonstop data telling you what's about to happen to Atlanta. And yet the African American people in Atlanta are like, y'all just been doing this to us. And blah, blah. I'm like, all right, like, I don't understand the pushback because they're telling you in advance what they're going to do to Atlanta. But these same people are going to sit here and look you dead in the face and be like, I can't believe this. This is part of that spirit of poverty. Now, let me go ahead and show you another one. This is our favorite, Mr. Pretentious. I love it. Here we go.
The quicker we will stop having certain conversations. First of all, we all know that poverty is linked to education. People who are impoverished tend to be very uneducated. Even if they went through the education system, the quality of education that they received was probably subpar. We know this statistically, like this is not controversial. But from a psychological perspective, when you are in poverty and you accept poverty, the way that you think is fundamentally different. You have to convince yourself that there is no way out of poverty. You have to convince yourself that everybody is in poverty, because when you look to your left and you look to your right, everybody is in poverty. And the only time that you ever see money is on TV. So it's a figment of the imagination. It's a fantasy. It's not real. And so when you suggest to somebody who has that type of mindset, like, hey, did you know that you could make money? Or there are other people who look like you, who have a similar situation as you, who have gone on to make money, they're going to tell you that it is not possible. It is upsetting to them that you would even believe it's possible, because it fundamentally goes against their beliefs. Like the way that people believe in God, people believe in poverty. So for you to tell them that they don't have to be poor, it is the same way as telling them that you don't believe in their God. And that, again, sounds very controversial, but from a psychological level, that is what's happening. The only people that you can help out of poverty are people who want to be out of poverty, who believe that that is already something that can be solved and something that they can move out of. But that requires personal accountability, that requires critical thought, that requires a lot of things that are very hard for a lot of people. So I'm not going to have conversations with people who are in that type of mindset, because it's never going to click for them. And I'm also not going to legitimize their opinion on something that they don't know anything about. You cannot talk to people who have a poverty mindset. And the quicker we just accept that, the quicker we will stop having certain conversations. First of all, we all know that poverty is linked to education.
Okay, so this you've seen Xavier many times on here. He just quit his dream job that he's had since college, and he's traveling Europe with his Black girlfriend, and they're from well-to-do families. There are a couple other people I've shown you on YouTube whose parents are very well-to-do, but you're watching their channel like, yeah, look at them getting out of the mud. There's no such thing. There's a lot of this. We're getting it out the mud, and we just laugh because we either know the background story, or we've been to Bid Summit, or we've interacted with them in a conversation and go, where are you from again? Oh yeah, I'm from the Bronx or something. And then you hear, oh no, I'm from this Westchester or this other part of New York. And you're like, oh, just like when people try to make like they're from a wealthy part of Chicago, and then you talk to them, they're from a suburb even further out, right? There are people who worship poverty without even realizing it. They talk about permanent underclasses and, oh, these people are always going to be poor because of this. And it's really habits and choices. There are great books written by liberals. I don't know how to say it any other way, but there's one called Nickel and Dime. I actually should pull this up instead of just saying it to you. Hold on a second so I can pull it up. Yes. Okay, so this is one of them. Oh gosh, and y'all could read all day, but this doesn't be you. Okay, so there's one called Nickel and Dime on Not Getting By in America, Barbara. But if you actually like read these books and actually listen to what they talk about, 9 times out of 10, the person has been given many opportunities to switch careers. The woman should go work. The woman should go educate herself. The man should go educate himself. Something. Every one of the stories is always where they just fall back into poverty because they always go buy a new car or they go do something. And it's like, oh, you're nickel and dime every single way. There's several books that say it's very expensive to be poor. Right. And I agree. I was at a dentist in Austin and they were like, hey, we can just pull a tooth or we can do this extensive thing that's going to cost all this money. And I was like, hey, pull it. Right. And then when I went to another dentist to get another set of surgeries, it's like, oh, it's going to cost X amount of dollars. And I just said, I'm going to have to pay it. There's no getting around sometime having to pay. But that sometimes if you think this is the only money I'll ever have, or this is the best situation I'll ever have, people will reinforce or self-sabotage. And if you read these books, you read some of the people in the books self-sabotaging themselves. It's kind of crazy. There's another book I'm trying to think of so bad. Oh gosh. See if I can pull it up. Patrick Buchanan, who many people are gonna say, oh, he's racist and all this other stuff. Oh, let me think of it. I think that might be the one. Let's see if I can pull it up. Yep. Possible. No. It's getting mad with me. Hold on, let me stop sharing this. Let me pull it up this way, a different way. All right. Let me see. And again, y'all can go on that. I'm not going to argue with you about Patrick Buchanan's past. He has a lot that he has done that is like enough. But he also, to me, was a scapegoat in a political time frame. But we'll leave that alone. Okay, so some of the books from Patrick Buchanan. Okay, if you scroll up, let me see here. You got The Death of the West, How Dying Populations, Suicide of a Superpower, State of Emergency. He's got a couple of those. There's, are y'all seeing my screen? You're not. And that drives me crazy. Okay, let me go like this. Because you guys are not even seeing my screen. And you can review these people on your own. Again, this is Patrick Buchanan. Suicide of Superpower, The Death of the West, Where the Right Went Wrong. I could literally type in Angry White Man right now. And it'll pull up several books. Angry White Man, Mother, Obama, Trump, The Angry White Man. I mean, again, it goes on and on and on. We can go even deeper. Gosh, what is it? Oh gosh, there's like 4 or 5. Let me see. Let me see if I pull up several books. Nickel and Dime. There we go. Let me see if I can pull up the adjacent books to this one. If I scroll down a little bit. Okay, The Color of Water. There's a ton of them. Let me see if I go through here. That ain't it. The Concierge Clash. I mean, I'm gonna leave that alone. We can talk about that on another day. Man, there's a ton. I'll try to do better about naming the books that way. But essentially, there are a ton of books who, if you actually read them, the author and the different people say, well, I know I can be a good mother. All right, she works at the Social Security Department, and they keep having kids. They know how to make kids. They know how not to have kids. They keep having kids. And then they'll be like, but I'm a good mother, and they're loved. And then you hear from these kids and they have like just horrible lives, not because the mother didn't love them, but because the environment, the habit, the school. Okay. There's a video that just went viral today. It's a young white girl. She's got on glitter shoes. She's probably a sweet girl. And there's a black girl on the bus harassing her about where you get them shoes from, making fun of her. And you gotta know, like, why does your young kid have a camera on another kid's shoes? And this is like first day of school. And they're in uniforms. This is why I keep telling y'all the whole argument about uniforms does not stop low income people who are angry. We all got on the same uniforms, but look at your shoes. Yeah, look at your shoes. And these are kids in like 5th, 6th grade. Very young girl. She's a sweet looking kid. And they're already like, people like, hey, tell me the school. It's in Mississippi. And they're like, right, tell me where I can drop shoes off. And the school in response is like, we hear y'all going off about this bullying. We can't name the children who was doing it, but we will take donations. Because the school got such an outlash because of Facebook, okay? Now, are her parents bad because they put her in these really pretty glitter shoes from Walmart? No. She's in the standard school uniform. She just has these pretty girl shoes to separate her outfit. And she probably felt good about herself when she left the house that day. But you got to understand that these are people mad at their situation. And so that anger passed off to their kids, and their kids at school being mean to other kids. That didn't come out of nowhere. That didn't come out of nowhere. This little black girl harassing this other little girl did not come out of nowhere. It just didn't. All right. I'm gonna stop there because I know there's something else I want to say, and I'm gonna stop. Let me go here. This is important because we have people mad at people buying the block. And what I tell people is y'all will move the goalposts every single time. Deion Sanders, he ain't going to get drafted. He gets drafted low. Clearly, it's like a bobble. They're all in on it to not draft this kid. No problem. People hate that. People hate when you take something from somebody, rightfully so, or block their path. Right? I'm trying to be careful. I want to say this. We root for the underdog. But somehow in our community, we've got it twisted. If I'm doing well, then Oprah, prime example, Oprah, is doing wonderful in America. Tyler Perry doing wonderful in America. Tyler Perry is giving more jobs to Black actors than anybody in the United States right now. But I hate his films. I hate them. They're the worst. They're terrible. He needs to hire screenwriters. He needs to hire better wig people. I mean, it's insane because you love to hate them. Oprah is a billionaire. She opened up a school in Africa. Well, why did she open up one in America? Why didn't she give back to America? Same thing when I talked about Dr. Dre, which was valid. Him giving $30 million to USC didn't make any sense when he could have gave $2 million. His daughter still would have got in there. He'd have gave $2 million over to one of these historical Black colleges. They would name dorms after him and programs. So this is why I just tell you some of this stuff is silly season, but it's also, you can never do enough. You're supposed to come save us. Now, the Gilded Age, I love it. I'm going to do a whole series, some more on the series. But what I loved about it is back then you built beautiful things, beautiful houses, beautiful companies, beautiful buildings. We don't have that incentive anymore in America for wealthy people. Right? We just have a bunch of tax evasion techniques. Here, build some low-income houses. Here, donate to some charities. We don't have any incentive for them to really invest in America because the behavior truly. But let me play this.
Gentrification cosplaying as Black excellence. Who said that? I mean, I'll be honest, the phrase came from a good place. Buy Back the Block started as a call to reclaim what was taken from us through redlining, disinvestment, eminent domain, just generational theft. And before y'all try to come and tell me that it don't exist, I would like to remind y'all that I was born and raised in Baltimore, which was the first city in America to implement legislation that directly prevented Black people from being able to purchase homes in white neighborhoods, which is one of the reasons I'm so passionate about it. I don't know how, but somewhere between the think pieces and the closing costs, buying back the block has turned more into a hashtag or an Instagram caption than a movement. For all intents and purposes, it turned into a catchphrase. Now it's all about owning property, flipping houses, and flexing on your timeline. It's not about building anything sustainable. You can't say you're buying back the block when all you're doing is raising the rent on your own people. You bought a house, staged it, flipped it, and now thanks to some aesthetic photos, you're going to raise the rent $2,000 so that families who've been there for 30 years can't even afford to stay now. How is that freedom? Like, be fucking for real. And of course, you're only focused on the individual profit and not on the consequences this action will have on the entire community. Aunties getting priced out, kids got to move in the middle of the school year because the lease isn't getting renewed because they want to raise the rent and mom can't afford it. Neighborhoods very literally change overnight, and not because they got better, but because the people got pushed out. It's Black investors, flippers, landlords replicating the same extractive system. But it's okay because they Black. When we say buying back the block, it should mean buying back function, not just a facade, actual community wealth. This looks like affordable rental units for the families that already live here. Grocery stores people can actually get to. A daycare that doesn't cost someone's entire paycheck. Creating after-school programs to keep kids off the streets, keep them busy, keep them entertained, help them with homework, something. Buying back the block looks like reinvesting in the infrastructure of the community, not just rooftops and hardwood floors. Because property doesn't equal power if your neighbors are living paycheck to paycheck, with nowhere to go when they're sick or hungry or struggling. So the next time I hear somebody say, oh, I want to buy back the block, I'm going to ask you, do you really want to build community, or are you just trying to build equity? It's fine if your answer is the second one, but let's just stop pretending. Everybody want to buy back the block to build community wealth, but nobody's building grocery stores or clinics or daycares or schools. All right, you flipped the house, cool, but where can Miss Pam go to get her blood pressure checked? Why do they got to catch 3 buses to get to the grocery store? If your play is just Airbnbs and rent hikes, that's not community wealth. That's just gentrification cosplaying as Black excellence. Who said that?
Okay. Now, y'all know where I got to go with this. This is the moving of the goalposts. Any chain link fence, if there's a weak part in the fence, guess what? The fence falls over, slumps, leans. We've all seen fences that are leaning on, dear Lord, they're about to go over. And this is that moment, right? When we're seeing so many African-American people say, why aren't you buying a house? Oh, because I live in the hood and I can't afford it. There's NACA. There's all these programs. Oh, I can't do it. They start panicking and they start hating you. So now you're talking about redlining, you're talking about redistricting, you're talking about no one owns anything. These African-American people come in with the scraping of their money that they worked hard for in these same jobs that you guys hate, and started building houses, started repairing blighted neighborhoods. We've seen this all over the United States where they're just blighted hoods, tore down houses, open doors. And are you building a daycare? Are you building a grocery store? We already know what happened to the grocery store. People kept robbing from it, so it closed. We already know what happened to the daycare. We know what happened in these instances. There wasn't enough money, local money, to keep it sustained. You do not go to the Asian man and ask him with his new Asian store, food restaurant in your city, are you building back the block? You don't go ask the Indian who has the gas station in the Black neighborhood, are you building back the block? Are you giving back to us? No, those people are taking their money and putting on the side of town they live on. The key to making capitalism work is you taking extreme ownership of where you are in the system. You have a family of 5. If one sibling becomes a doctor and the rest of the siblings are a bunch of bums, it does nothing for that family just because one kid's a doctor. Because guess what? They will drain dry the one doctor. Okay. You see, I have one family, there's a nurse. It doesn't help unless there's multiple family members becoming nurses, becoming doctors, becoming something, right? Semi-truck driver, same thing. None of this validates unless you, the individual, decides. Now, first thing I put in her comments is, are you going to build a daycare? Are you looking to build a daycare? Are you looking to buy a daycare? You know what I mean? This is this conversation of like, there should be a health clinic. Michael Jordan just put, I think, 3 health clinics in parts of Charlotte. But if you listen to people in Charlotte, oh, the Black people ain't doing nothing for people in Charlotte. Is it only the Black people's job to take care of you in Charlotte? All right. Every day we hear these cries of people talking about there's not enough affordable housing. Again, I told y'all I went to the affordable housing conference in Texas. Out of 1,800 people in the room who are deciding every inch of Texas, maybe there were 40 Black people. Who's the most online crying about affordable housing, though? And I'm going to say it's not the white people, because the white people know, let me go take my stuff, go across the way to the county and get me a trailer and go hush. Because that's where I am financially and that's where I'm going to be. This is why when we talk about USDA loans, we ask African-American people, hey, you want to have no money down house, USDA loan, go a little bit further out. Oh, that's crazy. I shouldn't have to go that far out to get a home. And then 2 minutes later, they're talking about how everything's too expensive for them to stay in the city. This is people worshiping poverty. You now building a house on one street, you just cleaning up a rental. You are now the symbolism of why their auntie can't have a grocery store and why their auntie can't get her blood pressure checked. That's crazy, y'all. This is extreme, moving the goalposts. Extreme. These are the same people. If the grandma's house is about to go under for taxes, they don't have any money to get the house. Even though if they actually just put a couple weekends in, hard labor, fix the roof, fix a bathroom or two, DIY, watch YouTube, they could have a nice grandma's house inherited. These are the same people with that same conversation. And so to me, there's no point in educating if your mindset is devoted to poverty, if your heart is devoted to poverty. Because now you've moved the goalpost for me. Not only do I have to come in this neighborhood and I bought this piece of land and I'm going to build a duplex and maybe I have it for elderly people to live in. Oh, I also need to build something else. You don't apply that same pressure to anybody white. That's crazy. There's a neighborhood in Atlanta. It's owned by neo-Nazis and a couple of lawyers that are known racists who wrote articles, paid for stuff, did all kind of crazy stuff, tied to neo-Nazi gangs. The neighborhood they bought all the houses in, Black people live in them. And when the news reporter came and told the Black people that the person that owns your house that you are renting from is this, do you think they got up and said, I got to move out of here today? I'm going to take my black dollar and go somewhere else? No, they didn't. They sat right there because that was the most affordable housing they could have. So again, take this anger, take this argument to them. This is a mindset issue. This is a mindset issue. I wanted to do a show with Jimmy from By the Hood and a couple other folks, asking them like their thoughts on this. But I'm telling y'all, if I show y'all every day, like there's a great lady out of Atlanta. Let me show y'all her tab. And she's showing you, here, you want to be a landlord? You keep talking about want to be a landlord. Here, buy this duplex. You live on one side and around the other. You can buy a fourplex. And she's selling, right? They're telling you, oh, nothing's moving in Houston. She's selling. She's a top list. I can show you a couple other cities, same stuff going on, where multiple people, right, have duplexes all over the city, making money, selling, having no problem, right? There's an Asian guy out there in Atlanta. He done built a couple duplexes. He's in multiple of them. Y'all have to understand, this is a plaza right here. 4 homes just listed, 4 under contract, 5.2 million. People from New York and California are like, that's all I got to pay for this? No problem. People that's been living in Houston their whole life keep telling you about how Houston's getting worse and worse. And you sit here and show them, hey, here's a duplex for $400,000. You can get a NACA, no money down, and half your mortgage is now paid. This is where people are. They're going to fight tooth and nail on this information. And in every video, she teaches about how you can put, 3% down, 5% down, small amounts. And people will still fight her on this stuff. She even puts some credit repair people on her page, all kind of stuff. And what ends up happening is, instead of what's the solution, people are married to complaining. They're married to being upset. How dare you ask them to do something in an economy that requires you to do something? Right? It's just a lot of complaining for no reason. And it's really unfortunate. And again, I'm not mad at the guy who was working a 9-to-5. And when he saw his opportunity, he got up out of there. The whole point of you having a 9-to-5 is the income shift. We've done a series of videos on income shifting on this channel. We'll do some more, but essentially to take your money and put it somewhere where it continues to pay you. And you don't have to keep doing the same thing. You don't have to keep doing the same job. You don't have to go work with people that don't like you. You had 300,000 Black women laid off this year. I bet you money those ladies wish they were income shifting. Those ladies wish they owned their own home. They wish they had a paid off car. They wish they had other assets they could liquidate. Because if not, they got to jump right back into the job market and be with people they don't like. So I try my best to just tell y'all, like, where is the system to free yourself? Right? If it's not Black finance, it's not Black YouTube, it's not educational pages, it's not buying stocks, it's not starting a business. What's the solution? we're really serious. Like, what is your solution for you? Because what you're telling me is, Erica, there's no solutions. I don't have any. I just want to complain. Just tell people that. Just tell people that's what you want. You want to complain. And that's fine. And people could accept that if you were true to that's the reason why. But again, what you manage gets measured. Money is at some point yields money, right? A lot of people say, oh, you need $1 million to retire. Man, you could retire with 200,000, 300,000 and just keep making it rotate and making it get a good, healthy return every year. But y'all not ready for that conversation. You're not. So anyways, I'm going to get on out of here. I could go on and on about deep thoughts, lifestyle thinking, teas and all kind of stuff. And something you're going to see a lot this year. I'm going to show this real quick though. A lot you're going to see this year is addressing drainage, parasites, and other infections. I promise you. This is the next level of the biohacking. The biohacking conversation. This is going to be the next part of the biohacking conversation. This right here. And then if you go look up, let me see if I see another one. You're just going to see a ton of it. I'm just going to be very key on it. You're going to see a ton of this conversation this year coming up. And you have Bill Gates creating butter out of carbon. You have Bill Gates putting a certain type of enzyme in 90% of the cheese out there. It's going to be very different. Y'all going to start seeing this stuff. There's going to be a lot of conversation on it. But you have to be in the mindset to be ready for even have that conversation. To improve your health, to feel better, to be better. Right now, people are arguing about school supplies. Y'all know I had to bring it up. I literally said the other day, my significant other was like, don't bring it up. Don't you say nothing about school supplies. And I was like, but babe, they're online talking about the school supplies again. There's 140 days or so left of this year. You are under no obligation to be any different. You can go ahead and enjoy, hit the snooze button and get into the football and pumpkins. And I'm getting ready to order a pumpkin crock pot right now, right? When I get off here with y'all and go to sleep. But guess what? If you paid attention, and that'll be a different video. This won't be in the same video. They about to drop them interest rates. And for those who weren't getting ready, when I kept telling you, please get yourself ready, get your credit ready, get ready to buy a house, get ready to, if you're going to buy a house, you want to do it, get ready right now. You want to buy that duplex, get ready to get it right now. All the people y'all mocked and made fun of on the real estate side, watch, you're going to see your favorite people that all of a sudden left their apartment and got a new house. People are sitting on the sidelines, not because they want to, but because they have to. And when given the choice, they will free themselves. So you sitting here telling all your friends, I don't want no house. I love my apartment. You're going to look up 4 or 5 of your friends all going to buy houses when they get a chance. When you sit here complaining about your job, 4 or 5 of your coworkers going to find a new job and get on about their day and go on about their life. It's all a choice. You are not obligated to be who you were the last 5 minutes ago. Please do not be out here on Facebook and Instagram stalking people you do not like. Don't watch YouTubers you don't like. There are people in my comments. I'm like, if you don't like my channel, why are you here? And again, it's because they're confused. A subconscious knows they want to be better and change their life. So they're here watching, but they're mad about it. And that's not my problem. That's for them to psych out. That's for them to go to therapy on. So listen, it's your girl, Erica, Classy Clown Blog. Again, people worshiping poverty, folks mad at buying back the block, Facebook stalking. Don't do any of it. But anyway, you guys, this is your girl. Have a great day. You've probably been seeing these commercials for Middleman to Millions course. What is Middleman to Millions? We're teaching so many people how to have service businesses. The upcoming year, one of the fastest growing businesses you will see are service businesses and digital businesses. Why is that? Because so many things need repairs, need maintenance. And guess what? We have a shortage of men and also women who could do things. Listen, I'm not the best with a hammer, but I know I can gather a crew of people to get things done. And that's what I've done with 2 of my service businesses. And that's what I'll be teaching if you check us out in the Middleman to Millions course. And look forward to us on the road with Digital Liberty Tour 2024. It's Erica Williams.